Hi, this is Rea Garvey, and you are watching, listening, and reading Urban.ro.
This is not your first time in Romania. How do you like it here and how do you find it different from the last time?
Well, the last time we were kind of removed because we had the Aerosmith show, and it was just a bit different. We didn't really get to see the city like we did this time. I love Romania. I don't think I've ever made a secret of that. So for me, it's kind of like refilling the battery. You come here, you realize how much you love it, and you can't wait to get back. So it's great.
2011 is coming to an end. How was this year for you?
It was a fucking amazing year. It was one of the best years of my life. It was very, very difficult. It was a long, long year. I don't think I've very much energy left. I have one tour to go before the year is over, but it's definitely a year I'm going to remember as a great year.
You started off your solo career,
Yeah.
and you have an album that came out. How did this happen? This was this something that you planned for a long time, or it's just
I think it's a natural process. You get to a point where you have to control everything. I think as a musician, I loved being in the band Raymond, but when we decided to kind of put down the tools and do something else, I probably was instrumental in that as well, because I wasn't really happy being in Raymond anymore, and mostly because I wanted to be a solo artist. And it's not because of anybody else, it's because of me. I needed it for me, and I think you always have to be true to music. But it's also why when you ask me what was 2011 like, it was like doing the thing that you want to do the most is the greatest luxury that you can have in life. So I'm extremely happy as a solo artist.
you have a new album. It's called Can't Stand the Silence, and the single has the same name. How did this album came out? Or how long did you work on it? And
I worked on it for a long time. I traveled around the world and wrote with some incredible people, and but more so, it's like in your head. If you can imagine like a jigsaw puzzle, all the pieces are lying on the table, and then eventually becomes the picture. And it's kind of like this album. There was so many pieces, and different to a jigsaw puzzle, there was pieces that didn't belong there, so I had to get rid of them. But I had to find out, okay, what is it that I want to do? So suddenly when the picture is there, you kind of understand more about yourself too. So music is the language that I understand the most, and it's pretty much exactly what I want to say. So finishing the album was understanding myself even better.
so what's the main theme, or what's the message of this record?
I think the fight of wanting to do something and then dedicating yourself, committing yourself to doing it. I mean, it doesn't always have to be so dramatic. Some songs are just like songs I love because I loved writing them. I really enjoyed writing them. Like Can't Stand the Silence, I really loved it. But the message is a pretty heavy message. It pretty much describes my life, at the moment. But it was a great journey.
And how long did it took to write it, to finish it? Yeah.
Well, Can't Stand the Silence, it was funny because I wrote it with Andy Chatterley, and they told me they said, you need to write with Andy for about 2 days. And I said, well, I have 3 hours. So we went in the studio and we wrote it in about an hour and a half. And then we wrote another song, and Heart of an Enemy. And then we wrote 2 more songs. Not in those 3 hours, but because I said, I have to meet you again. And we met for another 3 hours and we wrote another 2 songs. And writing with Andy is like, because it's kind of like I was saying, I kind of knew what I wanted to say, but I wasn't really sure. And Andy was the piece that was missing, and suddenly it just flowed so easy.
So you had the ideas before you started like writing on them.
Well, I think it's always important to kind of have a message in your head. What do you want to say in the song? What is this song about? And that's like, it's funny, I get asked to help other people to find out what they want to say. The same way I had to ask Andy, it's just this combination of like knowing roughly you know what the message is about, but it only becomes clear in the song. And Can't Stand the Silence, I mean, like I said, we wrote it in about an hour and a half, but it was bombastic. It was like, oh, fuck, yes, and do it like this, and it was fun.
You're going on tour next year. Are you excited? Are you coming to Romania also?
I really hope so. I know we're planning a European tour, so I really hope that we get to come to Romania. We already did a short German tour and it was sold out, so that was fantastic. And the next tour in Germany, Austria, Switzerland is in March. At the moment, I only know the German dates, but as soon as we're finished that tour, they're planning a European tour. So let's hope I get back to Romania.
You had like a lot of great collaborations throughout the time. Nelly Furtado, Mary J. Blige. Which one was your favorite?
They all kind of had a bit of something different, you know. It's like chicken curry and chicken tikka masala. Like, I mean, I love chicken, so it's just a different taste, you know. And working with Nelly and Mary J was a totally different experience, but I loved both of the experiences. Working with Paul van Dyk, also incredible. ATB. I mean, there are people that you walk into their world, you experience their world, and it's always a really, really great experience.
You recently went to Voice of Romania. How was that experience? And I was wondering, if you were to start your music career now, would you go to a show like this one? To
Well, I think I'm very happy with the journey that I've made, or how I became a successful musician. And if I was starting now, I would definitely do The Voice. And I say that because I'm involved in it. I know exactly what The Voice is about. From outside, you can be skeptical. You might not understand it. You might think, "Fuck, they're going to screw me. You know, this is going to be a disaster, or this is not the real way for musicians." The way that I took, which was writing lots of music, going on the streets, you know, playing in bars, playing everything from weddings to funerals, you know, and then being in a band, going through every club, and you know, starting off that way is the best way, for me. Well, because it's a real kind of success that you can feel, you know, because even though when we released Supergirl, which is like a lifetime ago, I mean, it went through the roof, and it just went from small clubs to bigger clubs to arenas, and you still had those years of playing on the streets, you know, you knew what it was like to not have success, so you really respected it, you know, and I think that the only difficult thing about being in something like The Voice is you become suddenly a star, you know, and I think you have to be very careful about that.
I was wondering, one last question. I was wondering, how was your first concert that you ever did? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was a fucking disaster. It was like the first time sex, you know what I mean? You really want to get it over with more than anything else, you know. And that's not true either. But I think I remember that I got on stage and there was 5 microphones on the stage for the whole band, and none of them worked at one point. And then I had all 5 microphones in front of me, and I was singing like a harmonica, you know. And one of them worked, and I didn't know which one it was, and it was in front of like all my school, you know, so it was a fucking disaster. And at the same time, it was good. It was a good experience, because it's really the difference is, do you give up, do you stop, or do you just keep going because you wanted to work? And I think that's probably kind of the way that I've gone about my whole career, you know. I just keep going because I wanted to work.